What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Seitz, joined by Alberto Calderon, and this is Cal and Seitz. We're finally back, Alberto. We said we were going to do it during the school year. We were wrong. That happens.
Hey,
But we're
it's last
back.
in the way, man. It's all
We're
right.
back. So let's just hop right into it. Today, we're doing all NHL because, it's Stanley Cup playoff time. We don't have a lot of time today. It's a Saturday. We got stuff to do. So there was a Game 7 last night, Alberto.
There was.
Did you watch any of it? Is my
I
question.
watched the beginning of it. I was watching the Celtics. I was watching the beginning of it. I saw, I think it was Yalmark's goal and Parisi's goal. Parisi's goal was absolutely. I don't know what. I don't even know how he played that, but he played it beautifully, right between his legs for the goal. But that was beautiful. And you gotta love hockey Game 7s. And the way that Minnesota responded, I guess, in this entire series was nothing that we expected, because they were a good team. They proved us wrong throughout the entire year. We thought it was a three-man race, but it wasn't the three-man race that we thought it would have been. Obviously, Minnesota replacing St. Louis in that role, and Minnesota. I mean, they played a hell of a season, and we just didn't expect it. We did not expect it. We thought they were gonna fight with probably maybe Arizona for the final spot in the division. And look, they were contending up until the last period of that game to advance against a Vegas team who can win a cup, obviously. But let me hear your takeaway on Minnesota, because I was very impressed on the Wild this entire season, and this this might be the start of something. It really might.
It might, but I'm not sure. They are still a little old over there in Minnesota. They do have Kaprizov, who's obviously young. But other than that, they're not the youngest team. But I just want to say last night, so the final was 6-2. Game was much closer than that. Minnesota played with 3.5 defensemen pretty much the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Brodin played a minute 56 before leaving with an injury. And then Kalen Addison only played 13:37 before leaving with an injury. Mm-hmm. And then I'm not sure. I think it was Ian Cole. He still played 23.5 minutes, but he was playing on one leg for the second half of the game.
Yeah.
So they were playing with 3.5 defensemen, and they gave up 2 empty netters at the end. So the game was 4-2. But at the same time, since they were playing with 3.5 defensemen, as soon as White Cloud made it 4-2 late in the second period, I knew the game was over.
Yeah,
I turned it off.
That was a huge shot too. That was a fantastic shot. How he went far side there.
Yeah, it was an impressive shot. But for the Wild themselves, I was, like you said, shocked. They won Game 1, 1-0 in overtime.
Yeah.
They won Games 5 and 6 after going down 3-1, showing their resilience.
Mm-hmm.
I think Talbot is still under contract. The goalie, Cam Talbot.
He needs to come back.
And he was phenomenal replacing Devin Dubnyk.
Mm-hmm.
Impressed all around, but I wanted Vegas to win this series because I wanted to see the next series we got coming up here, which we'll talk about in a little bit, between Vegas and Colorado. But it was a fantastic series to watch. It was in my opinion, second best series of the first round. And that's coming from a guy whose team lost the best series of the first round. But
this is a very good series.
It was a fantastic series to watch, and we're technically not done with the first round. We'll get to the Leafs and Canadiens in a little bit also.
So my question is, if the Minnesota Wild had won this series, they won last night, advanced, how do you think they were going to fare against Colorado? You think they win a couple?
Avalanche in 5 because they're missing 2 of their top 3 defensemen.
Yeah.
If they had both those, I would say Avalanche in 7 again, because the Wild are the real deal, and they proved it.
They are.
So,
and you made a good point. They're old too. Suter's old. Parisi's old.
That doesn't mean they can't make a playoff run. I'm just saying in the future, I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the success and everything along those lines. Right. So let's move on. Oh, go ahead.
Next year with the realignment too, it could have an easier schedule. You don't have to play.
Colorado
8 times a year.
Well, Colorado's already in the
Central. So
in the Central. So I mean, it's not 8 times, but it's like 4.
It's 4
or 5. So. But it'll be interesting to see because the Seattle Kraken coming in next year to the league. They're going to be in the Pacific, so it's going to be interesting to see who gets moved over. It probably will be Arizona.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see what they do.
True.
So let's go to the other series out west. It was the Avalanche and the Blues. The Avalanche made quick work of the Blues. 4-1, 6-3, 5-1, 5-2.
Yeah.
Binnington played as well as he could have. Team is just not the same that it was in 2019 when they won the Cup. I was expecting Colorado in 5 or 6, not 4. They looked absolutely dominant. Nathan MacKinnon looks like he's playing on another planet right now. I would not want to play these guys.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on that first opening
series
there?
I thought St. Louis, with their playoff experience, they were going to win a couple games, or maybe 2 games. I give them 1. Maybe Binnington steals another game. So Colorado 4-2. But, St. Louis just overall this entire season disappointed. I mean, the slow start. Didn't they have COVID to start within the first 10 games of the season?
Yeah, they had something. I don't know if it was a major setback as like Vancouver, but they had something. But I don't blame that entirely on their season. It was just awful. It was like the Stars.
Awful. They won their cup. Congrats, but 2 years removed now it was really a really big downfall.
And here's the question: is it time to blow it up? Because they're getting old too.
Being back in the Central next year, you got Minnesota, Colorado, Nashville,
Dallas.
If they don't make the playoffs, if they don't make the top 3, if they go back to the old format,
Winnipeg,
it's going to be tough. And after next year, it might be time.
All right. So there's really not much to say about this series here.
Yeah.
So. But we're going to move to the Central. But before we do, something I have noticed is we all know in the NHL you have to play a fast, high-skill game.
Yeah.
It is moving more and more towards the physical big side again. How it was back in the early 2010s with the Blackhawks and the Kings teams, where they would outskate you, but they would also beat the living crap out of you.
Yeah.
And it is moving towards that style of play again. But you also have to have the fast speed of the game, and you have to have the skill. It's becoming a very tough combination, which we'll talk about in a second with the New York Islanders.
Okay.
But first, we'll go to the South. We'll start with the 2-3 matchup. The Florida Panthers fell to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. Alberto, I know we were both disappointed with this. Yeah. We love our Cats.
Yeah.
But they fell short. I was impressed with the game 1 that they played all the way back on May 16th.
Game 1
5-4 Lightning. It was a fantastic game to watch, and the Panthers came out game 2 flat, lost 3-1, and I said, oh man, they took everything they had at game 1 and lost, and they just shut down. They did win game 3 in another fantastic game. They won 6-5 in overtime. They came back. They were down like 3-0 in that game.
Yeah.
Thought they seized back momentum, and then they lost 6-2. Spencer Knight gets the start in game 5. Their goalie of the future. They win 4-1. Thought they seized back momentum once again, and then they go get shut out in game 6. And,
But I was very surprised that they won that game 5. What was it, 4-1 you said?
So was I. Yep, so was I.
I was very surprised they won because it was in Tampa. No. Game 5 was –
Game 5 was in Florida.
Yeah, game 5 must have been in Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
I was very surprised. Even despite being home, I thought they were going to lose that game.
Yeah, so did I.
But Tampa, they're the real deal, man.
And Nikita Kucherov is back with a vengeance.
He is.
Which I'm not sure if you saw, but there are grumblings going around that Kucherov was healthy a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and they kept him on the injured reserve because they're $17 million over the salary cap. And if they kept him on the injured reserve the entire year, they would not have to pay him.
Wow.
Because their Lightning are good enough in the regular season that they don't need him to win and make the playoffs. They just needed to get there, which they did easily. And now they are $17 million over the salary cap with Nikita Kucherov.
I did not know that. I was not aware of that. That's big.
Yep.
That's
it's
big.
Something the NHL really has to look into because that's not okay, especially if you're the defending Stanley Cup champ.
Well, they did mention in the beginning of the season when he did go down with his injury that he wouldn't be back until the playoffs started.
I know, but that's long game.
Yeah,
they knew something. It's weird that they had a timetable for his return. Excuse me, right away. Like the minute they announced he's having surgery, they had a timetable. That's odd. Usually, it's like a rough like 4 to 6 months, and in a couple weeks they'll say, okay, he'll be back around this date. No, they said he will be back for game 1, no matter what day it is, no matter when it is, where it is, he'll be there. So
that's true. That's true. No, that you make a good point because you're right because they usually say that if it's a minor injury like 3 to 5 weeks, they usually say something like that. But they literally said game one, we'll be ready, no matter what. Yeah, that's a very good point that you make. I like that.
All right, so we'll move on to the other series in the South. Another really, really good series. The number 1 Carolina Hurricanes. I thought they were going to blow the number 4 Nashville Predators out of the water.
Yeah.
They play 4 straight overtime games to end their series in 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
The Preds take games 3 and 4 in double OT. Hurricanes taking games 5 and 6 early in the first overtimes. I'm shocked that the Predators first made the playoffs and second performed the way they did in the playoffs because I thought after games 1 and 2, losing by 3 goals apiece, they were done.
Yeah.
A Blues situation.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. I give them a lot of credit. That crowd in Nashville was definitely at capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely illegally at capacity, which is awesome, but they were loud. They were influencing the game. And it was really fun to watch after not having crowds for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But these Hurricanes are good.
Yeah.
And Nedeljkovic, he's drawing Cam Ward cops right now.
Wow.
Cam Ward stepped in and they won their cup. Nedeljkovic just stepped in.
What year was that? 05, 06?
06 or 4, 6, 5, something like that. Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. They got it.
4, 5, 6 range because the Ducks were 7, so it was before them.
Tampa was also in there.
Yeah, Tampa was 4. So it was either 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, I got to give credit to Nashville and Florida because going back, before the season had even begun, we did not think Florida would be right here. We did not think Nashville was going to be here. We thought it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, Tampa, Carolina, Columbus, or Dallas, Columbus.
Yeah.
And
Columbus turned out to be one of the worst teams in the league.
Exactly. And Dallas could never find their groove.
Nope.
So you have to give credit how Nashville not only played in the regular season, but how they responded in the playoffs and winning 2 double overtime games. I mean, that's a heck of a job right there. And Florida, for being one of the best teams in the regular season throughout the entire from start to finish, they never slowed down at all. So
and I really do hope that they keep going next year for Florida's sake there because that series was nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And hockey in Tampa has already obviously taken off with their 2 cups in the century already. But Florida has not been good since 1996 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 2000, whenever they got swept by the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup. They have not been legitimate contenders since.
Yeah.
And there's always the jokes about, you can't fill the building for Florida or Arizona, which Arizona is a lost cause in itself. But Florida, they were filling that building. Might have had some help from Lightning fans, but that's okay. They were filling that building. It was good to see they were throwing rats on the ice. It was a good time down there in South Florida, and I really hope that keeps up.
I want a series next year when they go back to the Atlantic. Let's get a series going. 2, 3.
The East just is so much better than the West. In a normal year, every year, if you were looking at the Metro and the Atlantic this year. You have it with the points they have right now that could have made the playoffs. You have Toronto, you have Boston, you have Tampa, you have Florida, you have Carolina, you have Pittsburgh, you have Washington, you have New York, the Islanders, that is. And I'm even missing somebody here too. Did I say them?
You didn't say them. Penguins.
I didn't say them. Penguins. So that's 8 teams right there. Plus you have the teams on the fringe that are looking to get in too. The East so much better.
It's honestly, it's a little bit imbalanced. It's a lot of
Montreal technically.
Yeah.
So
you throw them in there.
There's teams. So let's move north now, to the Oilers and Jets, and this was my personal favorite series because of my pure hatred for Connor McDavid and how I picked the Jets back a while ago to come out of the North. And then they really struggled down the stretch, so I only had them beating Edmonton and losing to Toronto.
Okay.
But I didn't have the Jets sweeping Edmonton, and that's what they did, and that was glorious. It was phenomenal. 3 overtime game, the last game. 3 overtime games in 2, 3, and 4. Then in the third overtime of Game 4, Nikolai Ehlers, I believe. Oh no, he was Game 3. Sorry, Kyle Connor.
Connor was in the game.
At 2:07 in the morning. I remember watching it and freaking out just because.
Was it that late? Oh my goodness!
I was falling asleep on my couch watching the game. Kyle Connor with a nice wrister from the right side to send Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid home, which that is their entire team, as I've been saying for so long. But I don't know if you saw, before we get to the reaction from the series itself, the way that the Jets simulated their famous whiteout.
No, because they have no fans there in Canada, so.
Yeah, they put like white coverings over every single seat, and they had their ad wall like stripes at the bottom. They had those in all white with blue lettering, and then they had one guy. It was an advertisement, walking advertisement. I don't know if you've seen the memes on Instagram or anything. It was a Bud Light seltzer can. It was white. He had a towel, and he was just going like this the entire time.
That's great.
It was fantastic, though, because it actually looked like the whiteout.
It was the literal whiteout. Winnipeg, they did a phenomenal job in this series because Edmonton, although they're only a two-man team, they're still a good team. They were still, earning a point per game, over a point per game throughout the regular season. And to win this series and to win in the fashion they did, 3 overtimes in a row, that's hard. That's extremely hard. And, especially because Edmonton just has a high octane offense. They'll put 6 on you any night, that you don't show up on defense. But Winnipeg, I wasn't on them in the beginning of the season. I really wasn't on them. I was on the Vancouver train. I was on the Calgary train.
Oh, boy, I was on the Calgary train bad. I had them winning the division.
Those two obviously didn't perform. Winnipeg stepped right up this year. I was very surprised. But, and Hellebuck also. You got to give credit to Hellebuck.
He's a perennial Vezina candidate.
Yeah.
So
every single season he's going to show up for the Jets.
Goalies can win you series. I'm not saying he won this series for them, but they can. But I just want to say the Jets defense did such a great job. McDavid had 0 points in the first 2 games. He had 3 in Game 3 and 1 in Game 4. So that's fantastic to hold Connor McDavid. It's insane to say to hold him to a point a game. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so we got a game tonight.
We do.
That's still in the first round.
Yeah.
It's Maple Leafs and Canadiens. The Canadiens down 3-1 the other day in Toronto. Still no John Tavares, who, by the way, skated before practice yesterday for the Leafs.
Okay.
The Canadiens jumped out.
He'll be back next series if they win tonight. He
should. At some point. But the Canadiens in Game 5 jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Promptly blew that lead in the third period, and then Jake Muzzin scored twice in that period for the Leafs. And then, 50 seconds in to overtime, they had a 2-on-0. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki made no mistake burying it in the back of the net to force a Game 6. And this is where it gets interesting because now it starts to creep into the Toronto Maple Leafs heads. Yeah. That we were up 3-1 in the series in the first round and we just lost, and now we have to go on the road. It's like every single year. They haven't won a playoff series since, 2004 or something like that? It's been that long.
Oh, man.
They all their epic collapses to Boston and everything in there. Yeah. Washington has beaten them once or twice. So Montreal has fans. They have 2,500 fans. It's the first live sporting event with fans in Canada in over a year. The going rate for the cheapest ticket is $1,316.
Oh, my goodness.
The going rate for the most expensive
game at the Bell Center.
For Game 6 at the Bell Center at 2,500 capacity.
Oh, my goodness.
The most expensive ticket at the moment is $18,356.
Oh, my goodness.
Go Canada, go.
Oh, my goodness.
Whew. So,
if Montreal does force a Game 7 tonight, is Toronto also having fans for that Game 7?
Ontario is still on strict lockdown for some reason.
Because they're Quebec. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So here's my question. Do the Canadians do it?
I think they win tonight.
Oof, I agree.
I think they win tonight. I think we see Game 7 because, like you said, the media, I think the Toronto media, the entire Canada hockey media is in Toronto's heads right now.
And if they lose tonight, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I mean, you have Game 7. It's basically neutral ice. I mean, Quebec's not that far from Toronto.
The players get to sleep in their own beds. That's it.
Yeah, ice is ice. It's a Game 7 for a reason. And I think Montreal gets it done tonight. I think Carey Price plays a good game. I think Montreal's going to skate fast. They're up against the wall. They're going to have to win. They have no choice. So I got
a gutsy 3-2 win.
Ooh. You have to gut it out. They gutted out last win. Mm-hmm. They got to gut it out again. We'll talk about this Game 7. If it does get to a Game 7, we'll reassess because, depending on how this game goes, if Montreal blows them out, I don't.
So I'm gonna say no. I'm asking the question right now. If it goes to a Game 7, what do you think is gonna happen tonight? What's the score tonight for Montreal?
I think Montreal 4-2 tonight, probably empty netter.
Okay, in a Game 7 situation, the Toronto media is going to be going wild, like absolutely bananas.
I think Toronto wins though in Game 7. In a probably an OT game.
I hate that we agree. Because I want Toronto to show.
But seriously, in typical Maple Leaf fashion,
meltdown.
They could be up 2-0 in the third period, Game 7, and they just completely.
They were up 3-1 in the series, and then 4-1 in Game 7 against the Bruins with like 4 minutes left and lost in overtime. So
they lost that game.
But it's just Toronto being such choke artists. It just makes me so happy. I don't know why. It's just hilarious to me.
Listen, this is the year to do it when you don't have to face Tampa, you don't have to face Boston. Mm-hmm. You're playing up against some Montreal.
Also, Toronto squandering this golden opportunity would be so Toronto.
Yeah, and the NHL literally put it on a platter for them. Listen, go. You're the best team in Canada by probably a lot. Mm-hmm. Win these 2 series, get yourself into the NHL semifinals, and let's go. But
and go get killed by an American team.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the perfect scenario where they just have to win this game tonight. But
and who knows? Maybe if they win a series, get the monkey off their back.
Exactly.
That's all it takes.
Literally. But then again, Winnipeg playing their best hockey in this entire season.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about this possible second round matchup in a second.
Yeah.
The East. Mm-hmm. The Capitals. Their downfall was their defense and goaltending. Who said that the entire year? But they lose in 5 to a Boston Bruins team that, since the acquisition of Taylor Hall, has led the league in depth scoring. And before the acquisition of Taylor Hall, was dead last in the league in depth scoring.
Wow.
That should frighten you if you're New York.
Look at that.
So the Bruins lose Game 1. Gentlemen sweep the Caps in 5. They're dangerous. And they looked it. They really did.
They are.
Tuukka Rask looks like he is on a mission. So
this entire team's on a mission. I think Taylor Hall is on a mission himself.
And I would not be surprised if he re-signs a long-term deal there too, because he fits perfectly there.
Yeah, because struggling in Jersey, struggling in Arizona, going to Buffalo for a half a season. I mean,
out of there.
He's out there to prove himself, and he's the main catalyst right now.
Yeah. He's
the main catalyst. He's up there with the 3 guys of Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasta. He's up there, not even contributing. He is driving. He's the driving force right now for the Boston Bruins.
He's getting the Krejcis and the Coils going.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what they need.
Yeah, you make a good point there. Yeah.
So I don't think there's much really to talk about with this series other than the Caps pretty much got dominated after Game 2. They dominated Games 1 and 2, the Capitals. I will give them that. Yeah. They lost Game 2, and as soon as they lost Game 2 and Game 3 started and the Bruins were all over them, I'm like,
yeah,
it's over. It's over.
What do you think we do with Washington now? Do you think they're just going to run it back?
Yeah, I think so. Ovi's technically a free agent, but he's made it pretty clear he's coming back or going to the KHL, and he's not going to the KHL yet.
Yeah, no.
I think he will finish his career in the KHL, but the only NHL team he will be with is the Washington Capitals, and he's going to be there for at least another 4 years, 5 years, just how Crosby and Malkin and Letang have another 5 years, 6 years left.
Yeah.
So, I think they run it back. They need to find a goaltender. Samsonov, Vanacek, Anderson, none of them are their solution. Just how the Penguins need a goaltender, which is absolutely disgusting, which we'll get to in a second. But they need a little more help on the blue line because John Carlson's fantastic and all, but a washed up Justin Schultz and a hot and cold Brendan Dillon is not going to get it done.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
All right, Penguins Islanders. This pains me to talk about. Islanders 1-6. I don't want to say it's all Tristan Jarry, but it was all Tristan Jarry for the most part. The Islanders win game 1 4-3 in overtime. I was at game 2 at half capacity. It was one of the most electric sporting events I've ever been at. They win that game. Penguins win that game 2-1. They win possibly the best games of the playoffs in game 3, 5-4. That third period, the last 15 minutes of the third period, had about 3 games worth of action in it with a line brawl, like 6 or 7 goals, like
back and forth,
majors, and everything, comebacks, power plays. It was phenomenal. Islanders come out and respond perfectly in game 4, win 4-1. Game 5, the Tristan Jarry incident in double overtime.
Tristan Jarry game.
But the Penguins, honestly, in my opinion, should have never been in overtime. They just need to finish their chances. They outshot the Islanders 20-5 in the second period and scored once. And then game 6, 5-3 Islanders. They played lockdown New York Islander defense in the third period there once they got up 2, and I knew it was over. Yeah. But to me, before I let you give your take on this one, games 5 and 6, when the Penguins scored first, I thought they were going to win both. I really did.
Okay.
Because I had said this before, this Penguins team of 2021, I think might have been better than the 2016 and 17 teams that won the Cup, especially based on the way that Jarry played in the regular season. If you get regular season Tristan Jarry, I really do think this team could win the Cup, but all they need to do is bring back the same cast of characters for the most part. You're going to lose somebody to the Kraken, which I'm hoping is Jason Zucker.
Okay.
And you find a goalie. You sent me that list of free agent goalies.
Yeah.
You find a competent or semi-competent goalie. If not, Casey DeSmith starts and you trade for one at the deadline. But you need a goalie. Casey DeSmith's not the answer. I don't think Tristan Jarry should be on the roster. He needs to go somewhere else. And I think this team can legitimately win a Cup again. I really do. So, what are your thoughts on this series and just the Penguins overall? Because I know you're not a big believer in this Penguins team anymore.
Man, wow.
I thought they could do it this year. And look at their addition of Jeff Carter. 13 goals.
Jeff Carter, once they acquired Jeff Carter, they really – he himself had a phenomenal – I mean, he channeled his inner LA King, back in, between 2011, 2014.
I mean, not as good as Alec Martinez, but –
yeah. Good one. That's a little shot in there. I like it. But in terms of this series, this is a great series. I watched this series the most because being from the island, I got you in my ear with the Pens. I got my friends from high school in my other ear with the Islanders. I just, and it was just like, you were saying one day, oh man, Pens are gonna win this series in 6. I got my Islander boys saying, oh, we're gonna win this series in 6 or 7. I was like, I don't know who to believe. I don't know who to believe. But this
me. You should have believed me.
I was going to believe because I just thought the Penguins were a better team than the Islanders. Because I just thought the Islanders weren't going to score enough, and I thought they weren't going to play good defense for 60 minutes. I thought they were going to play good defense.
Sounds like you've never watched Islander hockey.
I thought there was going to be a game where the Islanders don't convert on their chances. They play solid defense for 55 to 57 minutes, and the Penguins score maybe with a couple minutes left, and it changes the entire dynamic of the series. Penguins shoot off, win the series.
I was waiting for that too.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the defense was just incredible from the Islanders in game 6, where they literally slammed the door, and once they went up 5-3. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun series, and I really wish the Penguins played the Capitals. They needed to play the Capitals because that would have been a relatively easy series for them. They would have been able to dominate Samsonov. I thought they would have done the same thing as the Boston Bruins did. They would have beat them in 5. Honestly, I honestly think that the Penguins could have done an easier job than the Boston Bruins did.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Capitals showed anything. But the Islander defense, their experience came into play last year in the bubble against Tampa. They took Tampa to 6. That says a lot.
Yeah, they're good.
They're a good team. I'm excited for this Bruins Islanders game 1 tonight.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
The East is just stacked. It's just
it's so good. We got like 5 to 7 minutes left here before we move on to the second round previews, which will be very quick. I want to say 3 things about this series. First is, Barry Trotz, it took him, 12 years to figure out the Pittsburgh Penguins. But he finally did in 2018 with a little help from a Tom Wilson slew foot. But he did, and they won that series, swept them with the Islanders in 2019.
Yeah.
And then beat them here in 2021 with a little help from the identity line, with the Cizikas line, and the brilliant play from Pulock and Pelech on the back end, who are 2 of the most underrated defensemen in the league. Yeah. They absolutely shut down arguably the best line in the league, production-wise. Gensel, Crosby, and Rust all had over 20 goals. All were averaging almost or more than a point per game.
Yeah.
Shut them down. Sidney Crosby in his last 14 playoff games is like 7 points, which that's a issue for another day. He's still a point per game player in the regular season. I'm not worried about him going forward, but I'm just saying that needs to change. And the Penguins in the last 2 games of the series missed the net on shot attempts 41 times. 4-1. That's unheard of. That's like a series worth of shot attempts.
That's not going to cut
that missed. At one point in the game, the Penguins had more shots on goal in Game 5. The Penguins had more shots on goal late in the third than the Islanders had shots in the game. The Penguins were almost tripling up the Islanders in shot attempts. It's unreal.
They'll let you have the shot. They'll let you have the shots.
And Sorokin stood on his head. Sorokin was phenomenal, which that's another thing you need as a hot goalie. So let's move on. Bruins and Islanders. Bruins are winning this series in 5 games.
5 games.
I said it. The Bruins look like a team that can run all the way to the end right now. And as much as I don't like them, I will be rooting for them. And I think they're going to win in 5 games. I now have a newfound hatred for the New York Islanders. That's completely
I'll be rooting for the Bruins also, but 5 games. Wow.
5. Who do you think is going to win, though?
I think the Islanders win tonight.
Okay.
I think the Islanders win tonight, but I think Boston wins in 6.
All right. If the Islanders do win tonight, I'll take the Bruins in 6, but I got the Bruins tonight, so I got them in 5.
Yeah.
Especially because the games are in Boston to start.
Yeah, I think the Islanders still won tonight just because they're extremely hot the last 3 games.
Okay.
Boston hasn't played in a little while, and they've had a little bit of easy competition, easier competition, I should say, and they haven't played in a week, so I got the Islanders tonight.
Alrighty, so I will not be rooting for whoever comes out of that series. I think I speak for you also. We'll be rooting for whoever comes out of there to get swept in the semis. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the Central. I call the South. It's the Hurricanes and the Lightning. It's going to be a hell of a series.
This is fun.
We have 2 second-round series, this one and the one out west, that might be the series of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this one I think is going 7. Mm-hmm. And the Carolina Hurricanes are going to get it done.
Ooh.
I like Vinny T and the boys. Aho is playing on another level in front of the net. He had 2 goals in Game 6, including the OT winner, that were tips. They were unbelievable. I don't know how the hell he got his stick to them.
Yeah, the OT winner was insane.
So I don't know. I got the Hurricanes, but once again, would not be surprised if the Lightning won. Who do you got?
I got Tampa in 7.
All right.
Tampa in 7 in this game. You can't go against either team. And we've been waiting for this matchup. Like you said, same thing with the West. We've been waiting for Carolina, Tampa. We've been waiting for Vegas, Colorado the entire year. And we're finally getting it, and I honestly wish these were like, the semis. And I just wish they just faced off against each other. But I got Tampa in 7 in a hell of a series. Couple OTs. Yeah. Great games. So
I don't know if Carolina can handle more overtimes.
I don't think they can, but you have to.
All right, let's head out west. In the old Pepsi Center. I like that name better than Ball Arena out in Denver. The Avalanche, my Stanley Cup champions, are taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. This one's going 7. I don't think there's any question about that.
Okay.
And I've got the Avalanche in this one.
Yeah. I got the Avalanche. But I like them in 6.
Okay.
I like them in 6. I think they're playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen probably in quite some time. I think Vegas is a little tired. Carolina's fresh. They haven't played in a week, but I think they needed a little break. I like Colorado in this series. Dominating a couple games too, and really putting people on notice. So Colorado.
And my finals is Avalanche Hurricanes. By the way, I just wanted to make that known.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that before a couple months ago.
All right, so and then we got the Jets, obviously. So if they play the Canadians, we'll do the more unlikely of the two first. If they play the Canadians, I actually think it's going to be a really grind them out series. I think it's going to go 7 also, honestly.
Winnipeg in Montreal?
Yes, and I think the Jets are going to not hit a wall, but get a little cocky, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And they're gonna be like it's gonna be like a 2-2 thing, going back to Winnipeg. And then they'll guts it out in 6 or 7. But I got the Jets against the Canadians if that happens. Who do you got there?
I like Winnipeg in probably 5 or 6 games.
Okay.
Man.
Now Toronto. If they play Toronto, who we got?
Yeah.
The more likely the matchup.
Toronto in 7. I like Toronto in 7.
Give me the Jets in 6.
I knew you were gonna say no. Yeah.
I picked Toronto in the bracket that I filled out the day of the playoffs starting. I have Toronto over Winnipeg.
Yeah.
But I think Toronto will pull a Toronto and just lose to an inferior opponent.
Okay.
So I got the Jets in 6, and I think they do it pretty routinely, honestly. I think they blow them out twice. Not blow them out, but beat them convincingly twice, and the other 4 games will be close.
I think for that to happen, I think Hellebuck needs to steal not 1 game, but probably 2 games.
And he'll steal the 2 close ones.
He's capable of doing it. He's gonna have to steal at least a game in this series to win, and obviously coming on the road because I think they can handle business at home. But they got to win in Toronto. They're gonna have to win somewhere, and
they can do it. They can do it.
You like Winnipeg in 6?
I love Winnipeg in 6.
Oh man.
All right, so tonight, Toronto and Montreal, Game 6, 7:30, NBCSN. Islanders, Bruins, Game 1, NBC. Tomorrow, which is Sunday, May 30th, Tampa, Carolina at 5 on NBCSN, and Vegas, Colorado at 8. Game 7, if necessary, will be on Monday evening for Toronto. That's all the time we got. I think next week we're going to try and go back to a somewhat normal schedule. We still have to figure that out. I definitely want to start doing it on Fridays for sure because we've got a bunch of weekend betting stuff lined up that we've mentioned on our radio show on the Buzz before. So it'll be interesting to see a lot of baseball. Obviously, we're in the summer here.
Yeah.
Champions League final. Did that happen yet?
No, it's today at 3.
All right, real quick. I got Chelsea.
Oh, I got Man City in this one. Man City 2-0.
I'll be rooting for Werner and Havertz and Pulisic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, that's all the time we got for today. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching this episode of Cal Insights. Have a good one, everybody.